All right, so now we're gonna go over this last way to solve for x. So we already did factoring, square root property, now it's quadratic formula. Okay, so you can see the problem looks the same starting off. So my first step is to put it in order, like the squared, then the x, then the naked number, and we're good. The second step is to write A equals B equals C equals So A equals the thing on the x squared, 3. B equals the thing on the x, the whole thing, like the negative and the 4. C equals the naked number, 5. Yay. Okay, the third step is we plug all these goodies in to this formula, and we only plug in the numbers. That's why this formula is awesome, because it's just numbers. And notice how I put parentheses here? And notice how I put plug in with parentheses, because if you don't use parentheses, you're probably going to get it wrong. Okay, so let's go. We're going to have x equals negative parentheses b. So our b is negative 4. So let me write that down. Then your formula says plus minus. Then your formula says a big old house. Then your formula says b squared with parentheses. So my b is negative 4. Don't forget your parentheses. So look, we're just filling things in. Minus 4. See, it's always a minus 4. And then AC in parentheses. So A is 3, C is 5. All over, let's see here, 2 parentheses A. So 2 parentheses 3. All right. Step 4 says you use your calculator with parentheses and you put in the b squared minus 4ac. Notice that it just says b squared minus 4ac. It does not have the house on top. So step 4 is to pick up your calculator or your brain, but most of us have calculators, and do parentheses negative 4 parentheses squared minus 4 times 3 times 5. Hey, and I got negative 44. Okay. So I'm going to rewrite this junk. We have x equals, let's see, a double negative. Negative times a negative just makes a pretty positive 4. Plus minus square root, whatever we got in the calculator, all over 2 times 3, which is 6. And what we got in the calculator for this stuff in the house is negative 44. If you don't use parentheses, you're wrong. Okay, if you want to know how I got this without the calculator, negative 4 squared. That's negative 4 times negative 4. And that's 16. Minus 4 times 3 times 5. 4 times 3 is 12. Times 5 is 60. And hot dog, 16 minus 60 is negative 44. Okay, let's go. Your next step is to step 5, factor tree. Okay, so this is from like 1.4. I think we did this. Let's practice. What multiplies to a 44? 11 and 4. Keep breaking. What multiplies to a 4? 2 and 2. Okay, then this is where we cross out what we broke. So I broke that 4 up into 2 and 2. I broke that 44 up into 4 and 11. Okay, then now it says the pair comes out as one number and the singles stay inside. So I see a pair, a twin of the same number. So that twin comes out 2. Then this single lady of an 11, she stays in 11. Okay, and then also, because of that negative inside the house, I get an I. So the pairs come out as one number. The single goes back in. The negative becomes an I. And then let me not forget the rest of the problem. It was x equals 4 plus minus something over 6. Okay, now we're gonna look back at our steps, and it says the next step is, if the house is still here, then reduce. Mickey Mouse, don't touch the house. I call it that because you can only reduce the number before the plus minus, after the plus minus, and what we're on top of. And if you look, that looks like a little Mickey Mouse face. And it rhymes with don't touch the house, because we don't touch that house. So let's reduce Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse, don't touch the house. I can reduce all these by 2. So I get x equals 4 divided by 2. 2 plus minus 2 divided by 2. 1. I don't touch the house, square root 11, all over 6 divided by 2. 3. Whoa. Okay, the last step says step 4, if no more house, that's not us. We still have a house. Step 8 says if there's an I, split into 2 fractions and try and reduce again. So I think we did this in 1.4. We're going to split it into 2 fractions. 2 over 3 plus minus, and we don't really need this 1 on the I because it's multiplying. So I'm just going to write square root 11 over 3, and don't forget to put that I to the side I. Okay, then the last step, especially in your homework, is you type your answers in with commas in between, and you have to split them up. So this becomes the same thing with a plus sign, comma, the same thing with a minus sign. That's what plus or minus means. Hey, baby, those are the answers to my homework. Or whatever. That's what I would type into my homework. Okay, let's do one more. Let's say we got 6x squared equals negative x, sure, minus 13. And I want to solve this beast by the quadratic formula. And before we move on, that last problem we got, the answer, there's no way we could have gotten that answer by factoring like we did the example before. So there are some problems that you can factor. There are some problems that you can square root property. And then there's the other problems where we quadratic formula. In general, you can use the quadratic formula for anything. Okay, so let's look at my how-to steps. Step 1, put it in order. It ain't in order. It says add or subtract to get it in order. And remember, it's always nice to keep our 6x squared positive. With the quadratic formula, it doesn't really matter. If your x squared is negative, it's okay. But I'll just keep it positive. Okay, so instead, I'll move dat x and dat 13. Cankle, cankle. All right, and I get 6x squared plus x plus 13 equals 0. Okay, did the first step. The second step says write a equals, so a equals the number on the x squared, 6. B equals the number on the x, my good friend 1. Hey, Juan. Okay, C equals my last number, 13. Yeah. Your third step is you're going to plug these bad boys into the x equals. negative, open parentheses b. Negative, open parentheses b, which is a 1, close parentheses. Then plus minus, square root. Then parentheses with a b and squared. So parentheses squared, but with my b, which is 1, minus 4 times your a, 6, times your c, 13. All over 2 times your a, which is 6. Okay, your next step says use your calculator, but only the b squared minus 4ac. That means only the stuff inside the house. Okay, and I get negative 311. Ooh. So we have x equals negative times a 1, negative 1, plus minus square root, we said negative 311, all over 12. 12 came from 2 times 6. Real quick, I'm going to look up a list of primes on Google because I'm thinking 311 is a prime. And on your test, I'll never give you that big of a prime because you're going to spend a bagillion years trying to figure out if it is prime. Oh, and 311 is prime. Nice. So it cannot break because nothing multiplies to 311 except for 311 and 1. Okay, so on this problem, the only other thing I can do, if I look at my how-to steps, I can't do number 5 because I'm prime. I can't do number 6 because I was prime. Number 7 says Mickey Mouse reduce. Well, the only thing I can do here is I can take out this negative and make it an I and get negative 1 plus minus I square root 311 all over 12. Okay, let's look back at my how-to steps. It says if there's no more house, nah, I got a house, bro. Number 8 says if there's an I, split into 2 fractions. So let's split this bad boy. Negative 1 over 12 plus minus. And remember with the i's, you have to put the I to the side eye. Okay, so I split them. Let's see if I can reduce. 1 over 12? Nah, bro, you can't. And then 311 over 12? Well, there's a pretend 1 in front of that 311. And 1 over 12, don't reduce. Okay, the last thing is for your homework, you write this with a plus in between. Then a comma, and this with a minus in between. So we get x equals this dirty business. Woohoo! Okay, the only thing we haven't done is if there's no more house. Let's do one of those. Okay, let's say we got x squared 2x squared minus 2x minus 40 equals 0. And I want to solve this using the quadratic formula. Okay, so first things first. I see if it's equal to 0. She is. Second, I labeled A, B, C. So A is 2, B is negative 2, C is negative 40. Next, I plug it into this formula with the parentheses. So I get x equals negative, open parentheses, my b, plus minus square root, open parentheses, my b, squared minus 4, parentheses, my a, parentheses, my negative 40, all over 2 parentheses my a. Now I'm going to put the stuff in the house in my calculator. And holy poop, I got 324. Okay, so I get x equals double negative 2 makes regular 2 plus minus square root 324 all over 6. And then it's always best to see if you can square root your number first, because if I had like a square root of 25, I wouldn't sit here and waste all my time going 5 and 5. I would just say, hey baby, that's 5. Or if I had the number 36, I wouldn't spend that breaking it and say 9 times 4 and 3 and 3 and 2 and 2. It would be a lot quicker to just say, hey baby, that's 6. So let's try it on this one, 324. If you square root 324, to get the square root, you press second and then x squared. Because see, the square root is blue, so that means you have to press the blue button first. Okay, and then let me type 324. And holy poop, it's 18. We just saved time. So you get x equals 2 plus minus 18 over 6. Well, wait a minute. Where'd my house go? It went the same place it went when I had the square root of 36. The house went away because that's just 6. The square root of 25 is just 5. So if you have a perfect square, the house goes away entirely. Okay, let's look at the how-to steps. I think we're on step 7. It says, if the house is still here, that's not us. Step 7b says, if there's no more house, then split into 2 fractions and do the arithmetics. So this splits into 2 fractions that we just do the arithmetic for. So it splits into this with a plus and this with a minus. All right, and then let's do the arithmetic. 2 plus 18, poop. 2 plus 18, poop. Did I do this right? Oh my gosh, I'm a moron. On the bottom, 2 times 2 is 4. You don't have to be perfect to be good at math. You just have to be able to find your mistake. Okay, so let's try this again. There was supposed to be a 4 on the bottom because 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, let's do the arithmetics. 2 plus 18 is 20 divided by 4. That makes a 5. Okay, then here, 2 minus 18 is negative 16 divided by 4. Makes a negative 4. And then, hey baby, your answer is just x equals these suckers with a comma. 5 comma negative 4. Yes.